All right. Well, welcome to the show. Um, we're recording this a few days after your win in Chicago, so congratulations. Um,
Thank you.
did you think that was possible in the singles race?
Well, to be honest, I did not came to Chicago with the intention to win. Of course, there's always a hope, um, but the expectation that that really happen, I think this is really small, and it was really small for me. I knew that I train a lot and that I practiced a lot, so I came to Chicago with the hope to get on the podium and that top 5 is possible. But to win the world championships, that's so crazy.
uh, it's amazing, amazing result. Like I think in the men's race, especially, like we talked about how if you want to win it, you have to go out with that intention, and like you have to sort of be in the lead near the start, and like go out with the leaders. That if you didn't feel like you could win it, did you? What? How were you thinking about the pacing? Like, were you holding back at the start? Were you thinking like, I need to stay towards the front at the start? What was the strategy?
Mhm. Yeah, my strategy was to try to keep up with Lauren and with Joanna because I was like, okay, when I want to get on the podium, I still have to keep the pace up,
Mhm.
because, otherwise it can get really hard, in the end. I know that the second half of the race is normally the better one, um, but, I practiced it a little bit, what happened if I overpace a little bit? And I knew that I can recover relatively quick after a very fast K, and I think it's the World Championships. It's the last race of the season, so more or less no risk, no fun. And, I mean, there could get happen everything, but, like I said, I practiced it and, um, yeah, the worst thing that would have happened is, that the last, kilometers, would have been a little, or not that fast, but I felt good from the very beginning of the race. Normally, I realize at the ski erg how my heart rate is, how I feel. Do I get into the race? Is a little bit that my body needs some time to get into the race. But this time it felt very good, and yeah, and I think that was from the beginning until the end.
Okay, nice. What was your immediate feeling when you crossed the line? Was it like disbelief? Was it satisfaction? Was it like, "Oh, finally I've done it"? Was there an immediate feeling?
It was crazy disbelief because I was like, "Where are the others? What did just happen?" Um, I mean, I knew at the wallboards that, I am in the lead and that I really can win this, but that was so crazy. I actually do not remember what I really thought, but it was completely what has happened here? What is going on?
Was there a like it was a 2 minute personal best for you,
Mhm.
which is significant anyway. But I don't think it wasn't like Chicago was a quick course. Like it wasn't like a course where it's easy to get a personal best. Was there a like what do you put that down to? Like, did something change in your training or anything like that in your approach to the race?
Mhm. Well, I changed a lot in my training after my injuries and illness in the first season half. I started very late into the season. I think I practiced HYROX specific in, I don't know, I think it was December. And since then, I put a lot of work into all this basic stuff, doing a lot of zone 2 work and long runs and this kind of things. But in parallel, I also worked on yeah, this boring things like stability and basic strength, etc. Doing more work on how to do a burpee correctly, how can I pace there, and this was more or less for every station, ski erg technique and rowing technique, etc. And I did not start to work that much on HYROX specific workouts. Um, I did a lot of running practice then after March, and yeah, did a lot of interval training and VO2 max training, but also a lot of threshold training. But this was kind of in balance to my basic workouts. So 80% basics and then 20% threshold. And I think that worked out very, very good because I had enough time to recover from the threshold work,
Hmm.
and could do the easier runs in between as a recovery too. And yeah, that was until 6 weeks before the World Championships. And then I started to do more VO2 max training.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. All right. Let's come back to the training in a little bit. Um, let's just, while we're talking about Chicago, let's just talk about the doubles where you finished third and the relay where you finished fourth. Like, do you
Mhm.
enjoy those formats as well?
Yes, I do. I love racing in a double. I think Viola is a lovely double partner. We can race together very, very good. I think the relay hurts. Every time I do a relay, I'm like, I don't like this format because the kilometer is way too fast. The workout is way too fast, and it's just this 7 minutes, but it's 7 minutes of dying. And every time I'm in this race, I'm like, I never do this again. But as you know, from a normal HYROX, since you cross the finish line, it's like, okay, next time,
Yeah.
again, and
Yeah.
again, and again.
Yeah. How was your recovery across the weekend as well? Like, do you that to race three times is not easy.
Mhm.
Um, did you use anything to help with that, like ice baths and massage and things like that to help?
Mhm. Yes, I have compression boots.
Hmm.
Um, I took with me to Chicago, and I use them like 2 times a day. Um, And I also did in the morning 20 minutes of cross training, or bike. So there was kind of not a real training where my heart rate goes up. I think it was a heart rate of 90 or something like this, so very, very low. It was just a matter of cycling the lactate out of the legs, and I think it really helped. Yeah, and
Okay.
also, yeah, I took care of my nutrition with electrolytes and yeah, right after the race, eating properly. Yeah, and the basic things more or less.
Do you use compression boots like year round through training as well?
Yes, I use them, or I started to use them this year directly after training. Before I tried to use them before training, but sometimes I did have the feeling that my legs needed a little time to yeah, to recover from this compression. And for me, it works in the point of recovery the best when I directly use them after training. So I
Okay.
train, then quick shower, and then directly into the compression boots.
Okay. Okay. And how were the sleds in Chicago?
Well, the sled is always very difficult for me. It depends always, um, yeah, if it's a good one or not. For me, it was okay, I think. It was not a very quick sled push time for me, but it was not a bad sled push time. It felt heavy as normal, I would say, so not too heavy, but not too light. And I was interested in the sled push because lots of people said that with the new turf, it might get very easy. But I think that we saw over the weekend that
Yeah.
I don't think so, that we will see much faster sled push times in the next season. I think it will stay the same as this year and the years before. Depends always. Um, yeah, on the heat in the venue, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. If it taking a step back from Chicago, but in terms of like your overall, like the reason that you compete in HYROX or do any sport, is there a why behind it for you?
Hmm. That's a good question because when I started with HYROX, um, I thought that is just a nice sport because my training was always like I did lots of running and lots of training in the gym, not very specifically. And HYROX was kind of the best of both worlds. And for me, it was like I'm not a runner because I'm too slow for a runner, and for someone who is competing in yeah, in strength or like CrossFit, I'm not strong enough. And HYROX was, like I said, the best of both worlds, and I had the feeling that this is a sport where I fit in. And since now, I think that's still the same. HYROX is more than my hobby. It's kind of a passion, and yeah, I just love to train for it.
Will there, maybe it's too soon to say, but will your love or your motivation or your passion change now? Do you think now that you're world champion, like, is it I need to go and find someone else to be world champion in, or is it like you're motivated to retain that title? Is there do you feel any differently about it?
I don't think that anything will change. For me, it's still a very, 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 very nice sport. I will continue to practice for it. I watched the live stream on my way back to Germany in the airplane, and still I found a lot of things where I thought, okay, I have to work on this. And I think this is the beauty of this sport because there's always things you can improve.
Yeah.
So I will definitely enjoy now a couple of days off, and then starting into the off season, with a structured plan again, but then fully focus on the next season. And I'm really happy that the sub 60 goal I reached now. That was a goal I had, I think, last year already, but I needed this time to reach this. But now I think that I really want to go sub 60 again and, yeah, improve in the things that I think I can improve.
Okay. Okay. So you touched on your sporting background. Uh, well, kind of like, were you doing any specific sports, or was it just like, a bit of running, a bit of strength training, or were there any sports that you were doing before HYROX?
Yeah, I did a couple of sports, but not on a competition or in a competition kind of way, and also not very long. I think I changed my sports like 2 to 3 years always. I started when I was really, really young with swimming, but that was not my sport because the water was too cold for me. I hate cold water. Then I started with athletics for a couple of years. Then I played 1 or 2 years soccer. And then I started with hip hop dancing. And then when I quit school and started to work, I just went into the gym and running outside.
Okay, okay. And your mum does HYROX, like she's very good at HYROX in her age group. Presumably, she's been a big influence on your sporting life as you've grown up, has she?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. My
yeah.
mom was always very sportive. She went to the gym like 7 days a week. So she trained, and I was in this, I don't know, this kids area in the
Hmm.
gym. And sometimes I trained with her too. And I think that, yeah, had a very, very strong impact on my sports career.
Yeah. So you work, right? You've got a full-time job. I
Mhm.
think, is it you're an IT consultant?
Yes, I am.
Is that are you do you have hopes and dreams to become a full-time athlete, or is that not something that you'd want to do?
Well, I do have a couple of reasons why I do not want to be a full-time athlete. It's not that I don't like to be or that I don't like to train more because this is what I like, this is what I love, and, on the weekends, I, try to train, like, twice a day, when it's possible, what is not possible, during the week. Um, but I also like my job, what I'm doing here. I also have, um yeah, goals due for my working career. So I do not want to quit um the job completely. Maybe I'm thinking about maybe reducing the hours during the week. So maybe that I work like 4 days a week and then have one more day for training. This
Mhm.
would be a possibility. But getting a full-time athlete is not on my schedule in the moment.
Okay, okay. Is part of the reason for that as well that it would add pressure to that side of your life, or would you not feel that?
Yeah, could
Yeah,
be.
yeah, yeah. Um, your training volume, like partly presumably because of that full time job, your training volume looks like it's some of the lowest in the elites. It's like around 8.5 hours, like around the right number for you in terms of training per week.
Yeah. Yeah, that's still yeah. When I have much time, then it's maybe 2 hours, but actually this 2-hour training is too much for me. I don't feel good in with 2 hours of training.
Okay, I was going to ask, do you feel like you would benefit from more training time, or is it you feel like that's a good amount for you?
Mm. I think that's always a matter of recovery too.
Hmm.
How quick can I recover from such a long session? I think 90 minutes is quite good. I mean, my body is used to it, so I know that I can recover quite well from it, and I know that I can start training again the next day. But the longer the training session is, yeah, the more recovery I need, and then maybe I need the rest on the next day too, and then I can just start, yeah, 2 days later with training, and I think that doesn't make any sense, so I think 90 minutes is enough for me in the moment. Um, yeah, but let's see. In the off season, my goal is to um, yeah, to get a good, basic again. Last off season, I was injured, like I said, so I did not had a real off season. I hope this is, not going to happen this time, and to build, yeah, a better ground for the next season. Yeah, so let's see. But I think 90 minutes is very good for me in the moment.
Okay, with that sort of training volume, do you feel like I spoke to Sean Noble recently on the podcast, who's got a full time job as well, and I think he trains quite intensely to try
Mhm.
and make up for the lack of volume that he can do. Do
Mhm.
you do you do the same? Do you do a lot of, like you mentioned earlier, do some VO2 max training, things like that? Do you do more of that than you otherwise maybe would if you could train more?
Mm, again, I think it's also a matter of recovery. When I train more intense, then I had have to recover more.
Mhm.
When this is possible, then I think I would do it because I like those intense sessions. Um, but I think that we see with lots of HYROX athletes that they do too much intense sessions and too less of the basic work. So I think that you have to be careful with that.
Okay. Can we talk about some of that basic work that you've been doing that you touched on earlier? And I think I'm right in saying you're working with Bjorn, right?
Right?
Is
Yeah.
it okay? So and that what does he help you with? Is that's more like technique work, is it, and that kind of thing that you're working with him on?
Yes, exactly. We started 1.5 years ago, because of Toby Loudwine, thanks to him. He worked with Björn before, concerning, yeah, the rowing, his rowing technique and skier technique, and things like that. And, my rowing technique was yeah, it was not that good, before I met Björn. And he is the kind of person who says that you need that you can get better if you work efficiency on or efficient on the machines, as well as when you run, that you need to focus on your running technique, that it's efficient and that you do not lose too much energy on the run when it gets too heavy and when you come from a workout into the run. So it needs to be smooth and you have to feel good on the runs because it's like 70% of a HYROX or at least 60% of a HYROX. And yeah, we worked very much on my running technique. I think that was kind of visible on the live stream in Chicago. I felt really, really good on the runs. I thought that I can recover very quickly on the runs so that I can get directly into the workout. And that helped me a lot. And that's also the thing with the ski erg and the rowing. There I do still have a couple of deficits, but I think you cannot change everything. That takes time. And yeah, but I think the results we have seen in Chicago already.
You did look very comfortable on the runs. Is there is there one or two things that you did in training, like any drills or anything that you focused on that you're happy to share that like other people might benefit from that you did to improve your running technique?
That's a good question for Björn, maybe.
Yeah.
But for me, it helped a lot. He teach me a couple of things concerning neuroathletic. If you have ever heard of this,
No.
this is yeah, it's hard to explain. But these are some drills I do before running to be more stable. Because I know that I tend to be too much on the left side. And this is the reason why I always have got pain on the left side. And with these drills, I run directly a little bit more straight. And yeah, it takes just like 5 minutes in my workout before I start running. And that helps me a lot. And that changed so much in my running technique.
Okay, interesting. You mentioned earlier as well about the burpee broad jump technique and working on that. Was there anything specific that you changed there that you can think of?
Um, Yeah, I was very slow in the burpees because I tend to go down very slowly and then came up in kind of a roll. It looks always like this when I'm doing the burpees. And we try to work on getting down very quickly and then getting up very quickly, and getting a break in between this. Um, and also doing the step up that helped before I tried to get on my knees and then getting up, which is very inefficient for me because I'm very tall
Mhm.
against some other girls. So I did lost a lot of time there. Yeah, so we had to change like kind of my complete technique on the burpees.
Okay, okay. So if you're going to have a rest, it would be in the standing position on a burpee.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
all right, all right. How is your how is your training week structured? Like, are you running every day?
No, definitely not. I run like 3 times a week. I have one long run on Sunday most of the time, and then I have one time threshold training during the week, or interval training, and then another yeah, easy or recovery one. When it comes to a competition, then I start like 5 weeks or 6 weeks before with compromised running too. So this would be my 4th running session over the week. But normally it's 3 days, and then right before the competition, it's 4 days.
Okay,
And yeah, the other threshold day is more for the ergs. So I do threshold at the ski and the rowing as well. so that I have less impact on my body than I would do when I do like twice threshold days for running.
Okay. So that's like one other threshold session, is it? And it's a mixture of the ski and the row.
Yes.
Okay. Um, I was also going to ask you about your sled pull and your farmers carries, which seem to be especially good. Like you always, or generally rank quite well in those amongst the elites. Like, do you have any special secrets that you want to share? Any training tips, anything like that that you think has helped you on those?
Mhm. Well, I think I should not share special things concerning my sled push technique because there's still very much to improve by myself. But with the sled pull, I think what helped me a lot is just normal weight training at the gym, to upper body training, to get strong in this pull. Um, yeah, I think that's it mainly. I rarely train sled pull in the gym, maybe once a week, when I have the opportunity, to train with a sled, but in my normal gym, I do not have a sled, so it's very hard to train it. But best for me, like I said, is doing also here the basics, and doing upper body work.
Okay.
And that's kind of the same with the farmer's carry because I think I, like, never train farmer's carry, or I have never farmer's carry in my schedule, but I do a lot of grip work, and that helped too, yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Um, what are your running numbers in terms of, like, I think you did a half marathon recently or a
Mhm.
10K. What was the result of that?
Mhm. Yeah, my, half, marathon, was, 1:20, which is very fast. That's, 3:49 pace per 1 kilometer. Um, yeah, I was really impressed by this because I had no idea if I can keep up this pace, but also here I was like, "Okay, I just try it because I feel very good." My heart rate was, not once in zone 4, so I think I do
Wow.
have lots of potential here. But because it was, very close to the World Championships, we were like, "Okay, I have to run on 90% and not on 100%. It should be a training race." But that was very good, and, I had very much fun during this half marathon. Actually, I do not have an idea what I can run on 10K or on 5K because I haven't done this for a long time. The idea is, maybe that we do it right before, we start, in the off season so that we have kind of a benchmark, for this. But in the moment, I cannot say what my times are here.
Okay. Okay. Uh, like switching on to your mindset during the race, like when things are getting tough. What do you think about in those moments to help you?
Mm, I try to focus on myself the whole race. I realize that I cannot compete very good when I try to focus on the others and have a look on the others. Uh, if someone is before me or after me, and how much is the gap between us. I have to focus on myself and racing like my own race, and that helped me a lot in Chicago too. Because after I get in the first position after the burpees, I think, um, I started to wonder what happened here, but I
Mhm.
was like, "Okay, Linda, there are 4 more workouts, 4 more runs, just calm down, do your race, do your pace. It doesn't matter what happens now." And that helped me a lot. So if you ask me if I thought that I can win, I would say no, because, I know by myself, that I can get lots of girls at the wall balls. That happened before. So you can never know what happens at the wall balls, and you shouldn't be sure, before you, have done the last wall ball. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that helped me just to focus on me, myself, and my own pace.
Okay. On the on the live streams we've talked about, like Till has often mentioned how he, and I'm sure he's spoken to you about it, like he almost like wants to see you race more aggressively and like show that you think you can win and like race against Lauren and Megan and things like. Is that as your mindset around that kind of things switched at all, or is it just like I'm going to focus on myself? I'm not going
I don't think that this will change.
to.
Um, I think I tried to be more aggressively by keeping up on the first K. So not just starting behind the others, but racing at the very front. There was yeah, one change for me. But I think I won't start to race more aggressively like I want to win this year. Um, it's more like I want to break my own PB maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think during the race, I mean, when you pass someone and yeah, it's fun. That's normal, I think. And it starts getting more fun when you do it more often. I think we have seen it um, when I come to the rower. I was really in good mood that I was in the first position because I was like, okay, my dream to get on the podium is near. Um, yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, nice. Um, if you weren't doing HYROX, what do you think you'd be obsessing about in sport instead?
You mean if I don't do HYROX anymore?
If HYROX didn't exist, what do you
Mhm.
think you'd be doing?
I'm not sure if I would have changed my training the way I trained before, because I have never thought about racing and competitions. It was more or less, um, yeah, a try, which was because of my friends who told me you have to compete in that because you might be very good in it. And if HYROX would not exist and I haven't tried it, I think that I would have not been a competitor at all. Um, and yeah, if it's now not existing, or if we say that next year we do not have HYROX competitions anymore, I don't know. I think there are some other formats like HYROX which you can
Yeah.
try, more hybrid games or something like this. Um, yeah, I think I would do this then.
Okay. Is that win in Chicago your best ever sporting experience?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. How about your toughest one ever?
Um, my toughest HYROX experience. I think I had a lot of bad races, or not exactly bad races, but races where I have to push myself until the end. Um, I think back in 2020, when there was just this Elite 12 edition, that was very hard for me that I had to kit a race because normally I think you shouldn't do it. But there I was injured, so I had no choice, and that was really hard for me to kit this race and then watching the other girls competing. But I think also these moments make you even stronger because yeah, you learn from this. You know what happened, what went wrong, and what you can do in the next race. And for me, there is like no race which is really bad because every race that did not went the way you want to is yeah, some kind of a learning.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so I don't know. Maybe this season, Hong Kong was very hard for me because I felt my body didn't felt good. I did not come into this race very good, and that was a hard one for me because yeah, I did not feel good. But actually, I finished it, and still, I would say that I'm very happy that I have been in Hong Kong and that I competed there and that I gained this experience to race there.
In hindsight, why do you think that didn't go very good? Is it it's hard to say, or was it like too soon after your injuries and things that like you weren't hadn't trained enough? Was there a reason that you can look back on?
Could be. I also had the feeling that, yeah, I get ill. On Saturday, I had a running nose, for example, so maybe there was kind of a sign that my body is not ready to race, which was really bad because, I mean, you have like a 12, 30-hour travel, and then something like this happens. If I have known this before, I think I wouldn't race at all. But I felt good until the start, and then suddenly it was like something's wrong here. I think, yeah, there might be lots of reasons. Maybe it was a little bit of jet lag, maybe it was, yeah, a little illness because of the, air conditioning. Maybe also I wasn't fit enough, because of my injuries, so it wasn't the right time to race. There might be a lot of aspects, but still, for me, it was a pleasure to race in Hong Kong, and I still enjoyed this race kind of, that I could be there. Um, so yeah, I hope that there might be another chance for me to race in Hong Kong or in China maybe, and to get another chance for this. And yeah,
Yeah.
let's see.
Okay. Is there a is there is there something that you believe about training for HYROX or just like performance in general that you think a lot of people would disagree with, like that isn't necessarily a popular opinion?
Hmm. Um I don't know because I think that lots of people do like a lot of hierarch specific work, and I think that still a lot of people forget about doing this basic stuff. So they jump right into hierarch specific things and before they do like strength training or doing basic runs. And when I look at the schedule of other people, then it's a very full schedule. But there is very less concerning this basic work. Um, and I also think that lots of people train too much, um, and in too much intensity than focusing on, doing the workouts properly. Like I said before, I focused a lot on doing the technique, or I spend a lot of time, my training, with, technique work and running efficiency and stuff. And I think this is, yeah, some kind of things that most people underrate in the moment. But maybe this will change in the next seasons maybe, because I think you can see that it worked out, um, especially for me, but I think that a lot of people would profit from that.
Mm. I think I certainly think it's interesting. I think it's interesting. I think people will see that it's worked for you, and I think people will see that the 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 training volume has worked for you as well. Like a relatively low training volume compared to a lot of people that I speak to. I think it's
Yes.
maybe quite encouraging to a lot of people that it shows that you don't necessarily have to do 20 hours a week to be able to compete at the top, and maybe it's even beneficial not to do that as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, might be. Maybe lots of people train too much,
Yeah.
and yeah, maybe at some points it's worth it to reduce it a little bit and focus on the really important stuff, and then spending maybe the hours you do not train more in terms of recovery. And this helped me a lot too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for talking to me. It's been a pleasure. Congratulations again. So pleased
Thanks
for
for
you.
the invitation.
What are your plans now for the coming months? Just like are you thinking about races yet for the new season? Is like Hamburg going to be your first race back?
Well, I definitely plan with racing the majors. I think Hamburg is, yeah, for the Germans, a must actually. I think it's very, very early for the season, which makes it a little bit difficult, especially when you take a little break now and then start in the off season, so the off season is quite short. But still, I'm really looking forward to Hamburg. And then, of course, I try to plan also to go to Australia because this is a very big dream for me, going to Australia, and I would love to take the chance to compete there, and maybe doing also a little bit of holidays then there because it's a long flight. But still, I think it's a very nice major location.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Nice. All right. Well, thank you. If people want to follow you, find out more about you, is your Instagram the best place to go?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And what's that username?
It's Linda with 3 A's, a dot, a J, M. It stands for Linda Joyce Meier.
Okay. Okay. All right. Nice one. Thank you. Congrats again. And yeah, talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.